Good morning from Australia. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, so should I buy a $100 flute? Because I actually did get asked that in the last week. The short answer is no, and I'm going to tell you in this video about why. I'm also going to explain the exceptions about when it actually is okay to buy a $100 flute, because I bought one, right? And I did a video on it last week. I'm also going to tell you what to spend instead, because obviously you don't need to spend $10,000. And I'm also going to tell you what I did with the $100 flute that I had last week, because I don't have it anymore, and I'm going to tell you where it went. Here are the 3 reasons why you shouldn't buy a $100 flute. The biggest reason is because they don't last very long. I've seen them last 6 months. The best one, the best case scenario was it lasted 2 years, but that is rare. I have also seen them totally not work straight out of the box. So brand new, and they do not work at all. So you're taking a bit of a gamble when you buy one of these flutes. It might work okay for a few months, it might work for a year, but it might not work at all. The second reason is because when they do stop working, so they mechanically go out of alignment and keys don't close properly and the sound doesn't come out because the holes are not closed. When that happens, they're almost impossible to fix because they're not well made at all, so they're not fixable. And good flute repairers refuse to fix them. If you actually have a good flute repairer that you go to, they will refuse to fix one of these cheap and nasty flutes. And the third reason why I do not recommend you buying a $100 flute or a cheap flute is because when they go out of alignment, mechanically out of alignment, you're going to set yourself up for confusion because you don't know if it's your flute that's the problem or if it's you. And that is no good for your learning, and it's no good for your confidence. Now, the exceptions for when I think it's totally okay and a good idea to buy a cheap and nasty flute. There are 2 exceptions. The first exception is if you are in regular contact, for example, you have a flute teacher who can test it out for you and tell you when it has gone out of alignment and that it's worth throwing out, because then you'll know that it's not you that's the problem, it's the flute. And the second exception, if you're okay with taking the gamble that it may sound great straight out of the box and it may last you a year or even maybe more, but you may get something dodgy right out of the box, and that you're prepared for this gamble of not knowing what you're getting, and also you're prepared for the confusion that it might cause you if you don't have someone like a professional who can help you work out when it's not working, and that you're okay with basically buying a disposable flute. So that's the second exception. Now, if you're wondering what to spend instead, you already know that I do not recommend spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a flute to make yourself sound better. Of course, if you're in the elite level or you're getting very advanced, this, of course, is important because elite flute players, orchestra flute players, professionals, they're like Olympic athletes. Olympic athletes, no doubt, spend thousands of dollars on a pair of shoes or a tennis racket or probably even a swimming costume. Professional flute players need an elite instrument for the elite sport of professional music. But you need a flute that is in mechanical working order, for sure. For my students, I recommend that they go out and they buy themselves a brand new student model Jupiter or Yamaha. Now, there are other brands that are good as well, so I recommend that you talk to a reputable flute shop and get their suggestions for other brands as well. Now, you'll notice that I said brand new. That's important because over time, flutes can go out of whack, which a good student flute, it's okay because they can be fixed. But the problem is if someone has fixed a secondhand flute and they haven't fixed it very well, if you buy a secondhand flute and you don't have a professional that can try it out for you and check that it's in good order, you're buying potentially bad repairing of someone else's repair. So that's why I recommend brand new. This is going to cost you less than $1,000 for a good brand new student flute. In many cases, far less than $1,000. So if you're wondering what happened to the $100 Audi flute that I had last week, my dad has been watching these videos that I make and he's all keen to learn the flute now. So that flute has gone to him. He has acquired an alti flute. And he's in one of those exception categories where, because he has me that can constantly monitor this flute for him, and at any point where he comes to me and he goes, Jean, I can't play my D, he'll know straight away whether it's the flute or if it's him, because I'm there to try out the dodgy cheap flute for him and check that it's still in working order for him. So he's the exception, not the rule. Remember this. Remember that once you have a flute that's in working order, 95% of what you hear in the flute playing is the player, not the flute. This is why I'm such a big advocate, and this is a big part of my teaching about investing in yourself as a flute player. Invest in your skills, your ability, your learning. Combine that with a flute that works mechanically, and you're going to sound pretty darn good. You're going to get a lot better with the flute that you've got, as long as it works, regardless of how expensive it is. So come and join me to improve your sound instantly, if you haven't already, at www.flute.school/free, and do a free mini course that goes over 3 days to instantly improve your tone on the flute. And this is the beginning of investing in yourself. I know it's free, but you're going to be investing time. It goes for 3 days. Invest in yourself and improve your tone with the right skills. I'd love to see you there. See you later.